Hello everyone, and today we're in chapter 15, which looks at talent management. Do you remember back in high school when you had a career counselor? Or maybe you were at another college or this college, and they gave you some insight and some good advice on how to move through your classes and maybe some career development counseling as well. Well, as a talent manager, that's what you do. From a development standpoint, you take that individual from the very beginning with a realistic job preview, tell them what the job is about, and then once they're in the company, you develop them along the way and also put them in places where they can be the most effective. So chapter 15 deals with that, so that's what we're going to be looking at today. Okay, everybody, welcome back to chapter 15, and we are going to talk about talent management. Now, talent management, what we're going to be looking at for this chapter is primarily how to take a person and really invest in them as a coach and as a mentor and as a career counselor. You might have, as we've talked about before, you might have had a career counselor in high school or college, and they could give you insight into opportunities that are available to you at that time. So really, this is what we're looking at today, is we're observing the worker and how that worker can move up in the organization. And how do you know that the person that you have is the right fit for it? So these are all issues that we will contend with when it comes to talent management. Now, we've talked about mentoring and coaching. The textbook, the authors in the textbook give some definitions of it. Coaching involves working with organizational members, typically managers and executives, to help them clarify their goals, address potentially limiting behavior styles, and improve their performance. So coaching can be, they limit it to the executives, and there are plenty of executive coaching programs out there that will help executives go and improve upon their managerial and leadership skills. In fact, there are workshops and retreats, and there's even an MBA, executive MBA, that helps to go more into the leadership role and quality of leadership. But also, too, coaching can be you just taking that potential person who is moving up in the organization and helping them too. Now, mentoring involves establishing a relationship between a manager or someone more experienced and another organization member who is less experienced. It's often associated with the mentor intentionally transferring skills and knowledge to the mentee. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've never really had a mentor, but I can tell you I wish I would have had mentors in the past, especially when it came to going into new professions, not knowing the ropes and how things get done. That's invaluable. I knew the president of a college who had 5 different mentors who mentored this individual in different areas. One was business, one was academic, one was spiritual, one was social. I mean, he had mentors for every facet of his life to help him. He took mentoring very seriously, and that is, if you can find them, that's going to be a valuable resource for you. And mentoring is kind of like what we do as disciplers. We disciple people, and discipling them is taking someone who's less experienced and show them the ropes. So it's a biblical practice. They just call it really something different. Goals. Now, when you are mentoring and coaching, some of the things that you will be doing is to assist in the execution of a transition, address a performance problem. If they are falling short in areas, you don't do the job for them, but you can give them insight that they might not have already had without a mentor, and then develop new behavioral skills with leadership development. So everything is evolving, and the goal of everything is to transition them more into a leadership position. Now, how do you apply, or how do you establish the mentoring relationship? Well, you need to establish the principles of the relationship. Now, it's very important to understand that they need to know that you're not there to do their job for them. You're there to help them. You're there to give guidance and insight. But if they start thinking, well, Dr. Tom is my go-to person. If I can't do it, I'll just have him do it. You've got to establish those roles, that you're not there to do the job. You're there to help them facilitate their ability to do the job. Conduct an assessment to find out where they are. Coach and client debrief the results. Develop and implement an action plan and assess the results. Again, we're going back through the same old models where we assess, we choose a method, and then we evaluate the outcomes through feedback and assessments. So no matter what you're doing, those are going to be the primary steps in most all types of interventions and most all types of coaching and mentoring relationships. Now, you also do career planning. Now, HR may get involved in this, but you being the person that's the most knowledgeable in that field or in that division, you can help do it too. And now, career planning is concerned with individuals choosing jobs, looking at occupations that are available and organizations at each stage of their careers. And then career development is moving them through that organization in being able to facilitate that career planning or help them accomplish their career planning. It's one-on-one normally. Not everybody is going to be as engaged or as involved as others. So you have to be able to, first of all, find the right person and just pour yourself into them, just like you would in church. You find those individuals who have a desire to move up, to do more, and then you pour yourself into those individuals. And as they're moving along, they're developing, and you're helping them to, as they move along, look at opportunities and things that they can be doing as they move up. Now, career planning mechanism, it's really, as you see here, communication regarding career opportunities and resources. Oftentimes, it's not a matter of the person not being motivated. A lot of times, they just don't know. They're not sure of what's available to them, how they should go about doing things, and what's available to assist them in being able to move up and plan their career. So you help with that. And other opportunities for them are resources or workshops to help them in their interests, abilities, and job situations. Workshops are really in my experience, workshops are usually profession specific, and what we've done really is career planning mechanism. That's communication regarding career opportunities and resources within the organization. And again, you're doing, as you're mentoring, you're bringing them about, and you're bringing them up and communicating what's available to them. And resources are going to be very important. Now, HR, as I said before, can get involved in this. A lot of them do that, especially from a development standpoint, but you may be involved in it as well. A lot of times people go to workshops, and workshops, from what I've experienced, are more profession-oriented. They're not necessarily there for general development endpoint, but you do learn about the jobs and really the job situations, as you see here in the slide. You do have career counseling by managers who are in the human resource department. They used to call them personnel. Today they're really just HR. Self-development materials directed toward identifying life and career issues. You have interest inventories. You have personality inventories that you can take, all types of metrics that are available to you. And then assessment programs. And they test your vocational interest, aptitudes and abilities relevant to career goals. Colleges have those. High schools, I believe, even have them at that level. And then also, too, you can have that either in the organization or they can outsource that. Now, some of the stages by age that people go through, they indicate, and again, these are not set in stone, they're just generic. You have establishment stage where you're around 21, 26, out of college maybe, but what are the alternative occupations, firms, and jobs that are available to you? What are your interests and capabilities? How do I get the work accomplished? And am I performing as expected? So these are some of the issues at that age that individuals will address. As they get older, they get into advancement. Am I advancing as expected? What long-term options are available? And how do I become more effective and efficient? Now here, communication is key, because if you're not communicating where they're at in the organization and that they are a viable resource and job security and all that, then they may not stay, especially as they have gotten some experience and education. Other companies may try to win them over as well. So here, those star players, those ones with potential, you need to really hold dear to you. Ages 40 to 60, you're looking at maintenance. You're going more from a employee, which you are an employee, but you're more of a mentor now and a coach. How do I help others? Should I reassess and redirect my career? And today, because of the legal regulations out there today, a person can really stay and be protected until they're 70. So the workforce is aging tremendously. At age 60 and above, many think that you go through a withdrawal stage. What are my interests outside work? Will I be financially secure? And what retirement options are available to me? So those are some issues that you're going to deal with at that stage. Now, role and structure interventions. At the very beginning, you want to give a person a realistic job preview. And that means you are telling them the truth about that organization. You're being upfront. There's the mechanical approach and there is the sales approach. When it comes to interviewing people for jobs, the mechanical approach is, as you see here, you're telling them this is what the job is, these are the opportunities for advancement, this is how much you get paid and how we get promoted and raises, these are the good things and the bad things about the organization and the culture, and let them decide for themselves. The sales approach is where you put your best foot forward. And you don't tell them anything bad. It's all rosy, and this is the best place to work that's ever existed. And you get more people that way, but you don't keep them. Once they see how things really are, they leave the organization. So many think it's better just to be upfront with them at first. And even though you may get fewer people, at least they know what they're getting into, and chances are they're going to stay. And other things that you need to do as well with job rotation and challenging assignments. We've talked about that, where just the job specialization, you do one thing, period, that's not very effective, and the work needs to be challenging but attainable. And then consultative roles, you can help members fill productive roles later in their career. And then phased retirement, which is systematically planning for your exit in that organization and theirs too. So you don't want to wake up and it be your last day at work and you haven't been planned or haven't been planning, and the organization doesn't need that either. And most of them don't. So all of these help define your role and the structure when you are doing organizational development. You have, again, assessment centers, developmental training, performance management. All of these are here for the individual to use. If they're falling short, they can go to developmental training. Assessment centers also are there to help identify which employees or who is best suited for what type of jobs. And then performance management, we've talked about that, where we evaluate, observe, measure, and then provide feedback on people's performance. And again, performance management is just a person's career progress and how they're doing, not only where they're at right now, but the opportunities they have in the future. And finally, you have work-life balance, and that's not something that we really focused on a whole lot in the past. But today, we have come to realize that if you're not happy in getting your personal goals met, chances are you're not going to really be productive or motivated to do your goals in the organization and meet those goals. So today we have work-life balance, and there are many types of iterations of that. I know a lot of the students that I have in graduate school with other colleges, the school or the companies are sending them to school. You may have your company helping to give you a scholarship or whatever. All of these and more are there to make you more satisfied with life in general, thinking that if that's the way that your mentality is, you're going to be more successful in the business world. You're going to do your work. You're going to have less stress. And we even have programs for physical health called wellness centers. And all of these, like I said, are there so that the employee can experience a better quality of life both within the work environment and outside. Today we took a look at talent management. We saw some of the progressions and stages as people grow older, some of the priorities and the things that they need to focus on. You, as the OD professional, will be getting involved in that as people emerge through the years in different areas of the organization. One of the jobs that you'll be tasked with is to be able to guide them in the areas that they need to focus on. And we also took a look at the ways in which we can develop and mentor individuals. All of these things combined help make the employee more fruitful and more involved, and that's what we want. Well, guys, you have a good weekend, and I will see you next week as we begin Chapter 16.